Science in Space.
As regulars may know, I'm currently in the middle of my all-natural myogenesis experiment where I have prepped my muscle satellite stem cells through fasting and ketosis and am now applying the following natural products subcutaneously to assess their ultimate muscle building potential: plant sterones, DHEA, genistein, lemon myrtle, epicatechin, and NAD, among others. Savvy viewers will know that some muscle stem cell growing substances are powerful enough to have an effect on their own, such as IGF-1 in a slow-release form, i.e. Increlex, oil-based oxytocin, sub-Q plant sterones, and while some others may turn out to fall into this category, many shine when combined with one or more other substances, i.e. the whole is greater than the sum of its parts when combining specific substances that trigger a specific stage of the myogenic process. And that's why we're combining all these different substances together in one go. Why can't we just take a be-all and end-all product for myogenesis like we can with, say, testosterone when talking traditional PEDs? Well, to a large extent, you can. Like I say, properly prepared IGF-1 and oxytocin are good examples. However, by approaching myogenesis, the true growth of new muscle tissue, so simply, you'd likely be leaving 40% or more of the benefits on the table. Now that's just kind of a personal guesstimate, but let me explain. With testosterone and other AAS, we are stimulating growth directly through the androgen receptor. The androgen receptor signals the body to perform a number of muscle growth promoting functions, making testosterone somewhat of a one-size-fits-all master hormone. Think of puberty in males as a great example of this. When I hit 11 or 12 years old, my growth rate sped up, my voice deepened, and all the other fun and not so fun aspects of being a hormone-filled teen began to occur. To a large degree, this happened from an increase in one hormone, testosterone. And here's something interesting to consider. How much of the muscle growth that occurs during that time period is myogenesis? Think about it. Puberty literally is the rapid maturation of cells. With that in mind, so why not just use testosterone to stimulate myogenesis? Well, many do. Traditional PED protocols are based on using increasing or intermittent levels, blast crews, of test and other AAS. It's the off-the-chart levels of exogenous hormones experienced periodically that are stimulating new growth when cycling. We need testosterone for healthy function of various systems as men, but it's the extraordinarily high doses of blasts that kick off new actual muscle growth. This is why I'm not having AAS cycle-like results from my generous TRT. I've been on the same dose for years. I likely put on some bit quality muscle when I first went on, and probably a little bit again when I raised my dose from 175 to about 225 milligrams a week, but I don't even recall any kind of jump in weight happening, i.e. I likely gained something, but nothing like I did when I first discovered slow-release oxytocin. Any of us who have cycled a fair bit, as I did when I was younger, can tell you that most of the size/bulk you put on during an AAS cycle is glycogen and water weight. Beginners may not want to believe that, but after years of on and off, a person starts to succumb to reality. You might gain a legitimate 8 pounds or so of lean tissue your first cycle, though you're not going to be satisfied because at your peak of your cycle, you'd put on 20 fluffy pounds. So you think you must have done something wrong since you only retained 8 pounds. And steroids are, of course, magic. So the next cycle, you'll surely gain at least 12 pounds of lean tissue. Fast forward, that doesn't happen. Instead, you eke out 4 pounds or so. Why is that? To use the analogy of gold mining, when you dig in the same spot over and over, you keep finding less and less gold. Why not take just more juice? Why not dig in the same spot but just deeper? The problem is, in gold mining and in muscle building, there's not necessarily more and more gold deeper down just because there was some on the surface. For example, think of training stimulus as one potential vein of gold. If you're outright wrecking yourself in the gym 3 hours a night, 100% intensity or as close as you can get to it, 5 nights a week, and you're not growing, the answer isn't going to be to train longer and harder. The potential growth from the training stimulus portion was likely surpassed and began to be counterproductive at about half the volume and relative intensity that you're using now. So, you're chasing gold that long since ran out and destroying your mining gear in the process and getting nowhere. Your poor shoulders. But, again, since PEDs are magic and everyone says, then there must be no limit to what they can do, right? Right? Well, if that's the case, then why do the vast majority of pro bodybuilders use as much GH as they can afford? Why use insulin on top of that? Oh, because GH and insulin are the master hormones of the IGF-1/myogenic growth pathway, and for these up-and-coming bodybuilders, that's a whole new vein of gold to mine. See, we, the bodybuilding community in general, are already growing via myogenesis. In fact, it's the main way we've always grown muscle. We just never realized it. Whether through increased testosterone at puberty, increased testosterone via cycling, or the addition of GH and insulin to an up-and-coming competitor's protocol, the gains occur when an individual experiences a significant shift or increase in anabolic signaling that was previously untapped. In other words, a new level. We're seeing new muscle tissue, not just hypertrophied existing fibers that just linearly expand endlessly. No one truly experiences a slow, steady, linear growth of muscle all the time. What do we realistically see? Significant jumps that just happen to coincide with changes to our biology, training, diet, or supplements and PED protocols. Relying specifically on testosterone and testosterone analogs is continuing to mine the same vein for less and less return. Like I've said before, this is kind of the bulldozer approach. It works, but you're just hammering yourself into the ground at some point. So as an alternative, what is the precision protocol, and does it actually work? In a precision protocol, there's no actual cruise and blast, but there is an equivalent: prep and grow. As I stated at the beginning of the video, I prepped my muscle satellite stem cells through keto dieting and fasting. I go more into depth into this in last week's vid, but put simply, there needs to be a quote-unquote downtime where the body is being stressed through training, somewhat through diet, to prepare and fortify your muscle stem cells. If you don't have a cache of these prepped stem cells built up, your growth period will be a disappointment. This is the absolute simplest explanation for this half of the muscle growth equation. I will get into drugs and supplements that influence this aspect in upcoming videos. But today, I'm talking growth through taking the right nutrients and supplements at the right time when they are needed. This is the precision aspect. During the prep phase, I stressed my body to toughen up the stem cells, but now I need to stimulate and feed them to get them to mature. Luckily, I don't need extra testosterone to do this. My normal TRT will do. Every supplement I'm detailing in this experiment affects a specific aspect or stage of the myogenic process. Some encourage proliferation, some differentiation. Even the carbohydrates, glucose, specifically stimulates differentiation. See episode 999-998. So, by keeping a slow drip of hydrogel, ecdysterone, genistein, DHEA, lemon myrtle, etc. in my system, I'm constantly stimulating both proliferation and differentiation. By feeding myself with high carbs and protein and training with decent volume, I'm creating glycogen turnover in the muscle, stimulating differentiation at the cellular level. Vitamin D3 and K2 have both been linked to myogenesis, and thankfully both were available at Walmart and I didn't even have to complex them. It's a lot of moving parts, but no more complicated to put into action than a traditional quote-unquote cycle. I take my shots, my vitamins, my creatine, my protein, I eat my carbs, and I train. Not so different, but I'm not stressing my heart with high androgen levels. I'm not thickening my blood, stiffening my arteries. In fact, many of the products I'm taking increase blood flow and reduce inflammation. And I'm growing, actually more than I expected. So where does sublingual epicatechin and NAD fit into all this? Epicatechin may very well be a quite major player in this experiment's success. I've previously used many of the items in my current tool belt, but epicatechin is fairly new to me. And it's interesting. I'm clearly leaner than normal at this point in my cycle. While I can't specifically prove it's the epicatechin, I want to refer to Vigorous Steve's excellent deep dive on epicatechin in the video linked in the pinned comment. Lots of great info in that vid. Something that jumped out to me though was that he felt he had clearly recomped, lost fat, and gained muscle. I see that same tendency in my experiences so far, though to be honest, I work hard to outpace my metabolism to take advantage of as much growth potential as possible, i.e. I'm leaner than usual, but I'm still really pushing the calories, erring on the side of fluffy versus lean, as I have no trouble fasting off any excess pounds each prep period. I've actually cut back on my daily sub-Q plant sterones, using 50 to 70 milligrams a day for the last 5 days or so, and with everything else in place, that seems to be working quite well. Let some of the ancillaries like Epicatechin and lemon myrtle carry some of the load. I have made a usable but not particularly pretty injectable Epicatechin. I'm not listing it for sale, but the extremely curious and brave feel free to reach out. What I'm really excited about this week is a successful sublingual complexed Epicatechin and NAD plus combo. I was attempting to replicate the feel of the vaporized version I made a couple of weeks back, and I'm happy to say that I've got the dosing correct for this at this point. I.e., if you want to get buzz off of it, you can. But if you want a subtle uplift, clarity, focus, you can have that too, just take a third as much. Why am I excited about this? Well, number one, it's strong. It's as strong as you want, trust me. 2, it's convenient. Little squirt bottles, fits in the pocket. 3, it tastes decent, unlike most of my products. You can really get a tea flavor from the Epicatechin in this product, and its liquid portion is glycerin, so it's like a spicy sweet tea, if that makes any sense. I fully expect to see many of the benefits of an injected Epicatechin using this form, as we're counting on about a 30% absorption rate from the sublingual delivery system. What that means is that at 1 ml a day total, you're getting 8 milligrams in your system, more likely just a little bit more actually. As far as bioavailability goes, that would match Vigorous Steve's amount of actually circulating in the system. Okay, but why NAD+? Well, NAD+ helps with metabolism and cell growth, etc. at the molecular level. In theory, it should support changes and growth as long as you don't go overboard with it. Too much NAD+ is no bueno. Too sped up, not enough methyl donors, etc. Personally, I supplement with trimethylglycine for methyl donors, especially when using NAD. So, energy, growth support, fat loss, focus, that's NAD. Strong nootropic effects. And it just pairs so well in feel with Epicatechin. That said, I currently use this at a low dose, 1/3 of a milliliter or so, once or twice a day while growing. Maybe a little more now and again, but honestly, I don't even take it every day. Some days it's too much and I just need to recover. It's kind of hard to explain, but a caution because everyone's a little different. Some are naturally topped off on their NAD levels, many are not. Some handle it well, and some have methylation issues like I do. Just to state once again and be clear, I can't confirm with any certainty how much of this sublingual form will actually help with real measurable muscle growth. I do feel that the sub-Q injected form I've been using for the last 10 days is having a positive effect on muscle growth, but again, that's a feel. I don't have anything concrete. All I can say is I would refer and defer back to Vigorous Steve's deep dive and his experiences, and point to other people's experiences as well as kind of a gauge point. And the experiment isn't over yet. I'm going to keep running it for about 2 more weeks and get as good of an idea as possible on the potential of what I'm running. Until then, this is how I'm getting my NAD plus in. And yes, it is possible to stabilize in a liquid. See my video pinned in the comment. As I feel it's easier to regulate sublingually than with injections. I'm definitely enjoying the nootropic effects, and I have a hunch the sublingual Epicatechin NAD combo will help quite a bit in regulating body fat while I grow. We'll see. As usual, I hope this made some sense and that you got something from it. Head over to our free Patreon vid for the making of the titular Epicatechin product and a sneak peek at what I'm working on as a transdermal topical pain reliever. All the best, and I'll see you here next week.